What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated two-division world champion, superstar boxer who's currently the reigning WBC middleweight world champion, that being none other than Jermall Lions Only Charlo, 32 wins, no loss and no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 31 years of age, 6 feet tall with a 74-inch arm reach. Jermall Charlo was hopeful that he would finally land the highly anticipated showdown he was seeking out with four-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer who currently is the undisputed super middleweight world champion, widely considered to be the face of the sport of boxing, top 3 pound for pound best, if not number 1 fighter in the world, in Saul Canelo Alvarez. 57 wins, 1 loss, 2 draw, 39 big wins by way of knockout. He is 31 years of age, 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach. With that said, Canelo Alvarez has decided to go in a different direction. Canelo Alvarez is now going to fight off against undefeated WBA, World Boxing Association, light heavyweight world champion, Russian superstar boxer DMITRY BIVOL, who has 19 wins, no loss and no draw, 11 wins by way of knockout. He is 31 years of age, 6 foot tall with a 72-inch arm reach. That's scheduled to take place May 7th, Cinco de Mayo weekend. The destination is yet to be finalized. With that said, Canelo Alvarez, he did an interview yesterday, and Canelo Alvarez, he stated that he feels that, Jermall Charlo should face off against undefeated two-time WBC super middleweight world champion Mexican superstar boxer David Benavidez. David Benavidez is 25 wins, no losses, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout. He is 25 years of age, 6'1" with a 75-inch arm reach. He stated that he feels like Jermall Charlo should face off against David Benavidez, and then he'll fight the winner of that fight for sure. And he also stated that he wants undefeated two-division world champion superstar boxer Demetrius Boo Boo Andre to also compete against somebody else in the top, 3 of the super middleweight division, and he'll face off against the winner of that fight as well. He stated that he believes that they need to face each other. Canelo Alvarez, he stated that he is indeed looking to seek out to become undisputed at light heavyweight. Okay, he can do so in under a calendar year. He can do so actually in 2 fights. He beats DMITRY BIVOL. He'll be the WBA champion, and Canelo Alvarez can also face the winner of the unification light heavyweight showdown between unified WBC IBF light heavyweight world champion superstar boxer Artur Beterbiev, and he's going to face off against WBO light heavyweight world champion star boxer Joe Smith Jr. in a unification bout. 3 belts will be on the line. And then Canelo Alvarez, he could face the winner of that fight and become undisputed at light heavyweight, as well as becoming undisputed at super middleweight, okay? And then at the end of the year, he can face off in his trilogy match with a longtime rival, 2-time middleweight world champion, Gennady Triple G Golovkin, okay? So that looks like that's going to be the trilogy. It looks like he could face Gennady Golovkin in September, or he could face him in December and face the winner, Artur Beterbiev, Joe Smith Jr. winner in September, and become undisputed. So history is on his side if he chooses that path. And seeing as though he's the face of the sport of boxing, he's the cash cow, he can choose if he wants to make that fight, and they will oblige him, okay? So with that said, Jermall Charlo, he has got wind of this. He's responded, and Jermall Charlo, he didn't agree that he'll face David Benavidez. Now, keep in mind, there's a storyline. There's history between David Benavidez and Jermall Charlo, okay? But he didn't agree that he'll face David Benavidez, but he did state that, he believes that Canelo Alvarez can't avoid him forever, and he believes that this fight is definitely going to happen soon. With that said, Jermall Charlo, he's been relatively inactive. He fought against Montiel in his last fight, but Jermall Charlo hasn't had the biggest fights in his career thus far. Okay, he has some credible wins. He beat Sergey Derevyanchenko, I believe that's a great win, and he beat Julian J. Rod Williams, but and he also beat Austin Trout. So those are 3 big wins in his career, the 3 biggest wins in his career. Okay, but if you look at Jermall Charlo's resume, Jermall Charlo has only beaten 2 champions when the time he beat them, okay? And that was Kenan Cornelius Bundridge, okay, and he beat Austin Trout, that were champions by the time he beat them. Now, he also beat Julian J. Rod Williams, but Julian J. Rod Williams didn't become a champion until after Jermall Charlo beat him, okay? So he's only fought and beat 2 champions in his career, okay? And, those massive big showdowns have been eluding him, and he hasn't been that active, okay? He fought Juan Marcelo Montiel. That was in June of 2021. So we're in March of 2022, and it doesn't seem like he has a fight, on the horizon yet. Obviously, he was banking on the Canelo Alvarez fight. So Jermall Charlo, he states that, he understands that Canelo Alvarez went this direction, and he still believes that he's going to get an opportunity to fight Canelo Alvarez. He stated that he can't avoid him forever. The fight, like I said, is history between David Benavidez and Jermall Charlo. After Jermall Charlo had made some comments referring to David Benavidez when asked about going up to super middleweight, how would a fight play out between himself and David Benavidez, in which Jermall Charlo, he stated that David Benavidez is not a big puncher. He's a big puncher. He's offensive minded, but David Benavidez doesn't have any defense, and he's a big puncher. Okay, so he stated that he won't be able to withstand what I'm dishing out for over 12 rounds, and I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to stop him. Okay, so David Benavidez, he got wind of this, and David Benavidez, he obviously responded, and he didn't stop responding. From the moment he got the wind of it, David Benavidez had been aggressively calling out Jermall Charlo, calling him out his name, saying that he was avoiding him, saying that he was scared. He's been pushing for this fight, and Jermall Charlo's response has always been, I'm not a super middleweight. But Jermall Charlo has agreed to go up to super middleweight to challenge Canelo Alvarez, okay? But he stated that David Benavidez brings nothing to the table. Canelo Alvarez, he feels like they need to mix it up with each other, and then I'll fight them. They need to stop looking for paydays, okay? So Jermall Charlo saying that Canelo Alvarez can't avoid him forever. And I agree with Canelo Alvarez, okay? It's not the popular opinion because everybody wants to see Canelo Alvarez go through the gauntlet. But at the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez, he didn't sit on his hands and wait for a Floyd Mayweather fight when he got the opportunity to fight Floyd Mayweather. He fought Austin Trout in the unification bout, okay? He fought Shane Mosley, whether you feel like Shane Mosley was past his prime or not. He was already building his name, fighting former world champions. He had unified his belts. He successfully defended his title 5 times en route to fighting Floyd Mayweather, okay? Floyd Mayweather asked Canelo Alvarez to go ahead and fight Austin Trout in unification would have justified me fighting you, okay? And that's exactly what he did. He fought as the co-main event on Floyd Mayweather's card. Now, I think his popularity and his star status was a baton directly passed to him by Floyd Mayweather by putting him on his undercard, giving him acknowledgement and recognition, and then ultimately fighting him, okay? And that's why his star status it is what it is today, is because it's like he didn't even lose to Floyd Mayweather, okay? But these fights, and then immediately following that, he went and he fought, Alfredo Angulo, and then he fought Erislandy Lara, okay? And then he's fighting the big names, okay? We want Canelo Alvarez to go through the gauntlet. I want to see Canelo Alvarez versus Jermall Charlo, Demetrius Andrade. But at the end of the day, they aren't fighting each other. They're not looking to build their names and their reputations and their legacies. They're looking and they're hoping and they're depending on Canelo Alvarez instead of competing against one another and building a ladder to their own success opposed to waiting for Canelo Alvarez. Again, like I stated, Jermall Charlo has only beaten 2 world champions in his career, okay? So with that said, and then in his last fight, he struggled with a guy in Juan Marcelo Montiel, who was a drastic underdog in this fight. So with that said, I think we forget the level of competition that Canelo Alvarez has faced, going into this point in his career. Now, yes, Canelo Alvarez has decided to go here. It's a little checkerboard in his directions, right? He'll go fight Rocky Fielding instead of facing the WBA official champion at super middleweight and Caleb Smith. But then he double backs and he fights Caleb Smith, and Caleb Smith is still the undefeated champion, and he beats Caleb Smith. So he's making his rounds. People thought he was never going to fight Danny Jacobs, and he did. People thought he was never going to fight Triple G. He fought him twice. People thought he was going to avoid Erislandy Lara. He fought him. Whether you thought he won, lost, or whatever, he still got in the ring with them eventually. So I understand that direction, and I feel like Jermall Charlo, what direction are you going to go in? Okay, we know David Benavidez is going to fight David Lemieux in his upcoming fight for the interim WBC mandatory position. But we should be watching David Benavidez versus Jermall Charlo. Okay, Demetrius Andrade and Jermall Charlo in the same division, both champions, both undefeated, and they're no closer than they're coming together to fight than California is close to New York. Okay, so it just doesn't make any sense. They're just sitting around waiting for the likes of Triple G at middleweight or Canelo Alvarez to give them an opportunity, opposed to building their own legacy and their own ladder to the Canelo Alvarez fight and their own ladder to success. So Jermall Charlo, he didn't commit to saying I'll fight David Benavidez or Demetrius Andrade, but he said eventually Canelo Alvarez has to fight me. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.